ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य महानिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण नारायण नारायण। वर्स नंबर 58। यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। भगवान शंकराचार्य जी इस भाष्य। यदा संहरते, सम्यक् उपसंहरते च अयम् ज्ञाननिष्ठायां प्रवृत्तो यतिः कूर्मः अंगानि इव सर्वशो यथा कूर्मो भयात् स्वानि अंगानि उपसंहरति सर्वत एवं ज्ञाननिष्ठ इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेभ्यः सर्वविषयेभ्यः उपसंहरते तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता इति उक्तार्थं वाक्यम्. Supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, from the verses 55 to 57, in 55, 56 and 57, expounding upon the attributes of a man of realization, a man whose intellect is firm in the subject of the self, a man who has got firm abidance in the self, or we can say a one who's a perfect one, that man who's a perfect one. He explained three key attributes of such a person. He enlisted them. He actually expounded upon them. What are those three things which Bhagwan spoke about? The first thing Bhagwan said, he is ever satisfied in the self. That's the first attribute. The second attribute or the second quality is he lives in perfect equanimity in pleasure and pain. And the third quality which Bhagwan expounded upon was he has within him a complete absence of attachment to rejoicing or any aversion. After expounding them, then Bhagwan moved on from this verse, which is 58 onwards, to talk about or to elaborate upon a new topic altogether, or a different attribute altogether, a different quality altogether. What is that? From here onwards, Bhagwan is mentioning a man of steady wisdom has the special knack for withdrawing his senses from all the disturbing fields of objects. And the simile Bhagwan has used here is very, very appropriate. Just as a tortoise can, even at the most distant suggestions of danger, instinctively withdraw all its limbs into itself and feel safe within, in the same way, a man of perfection can consciously withdraw all his senses antenna that peep out through his 5 arches of knowledge, called the sense organs or the organs of perception. That is the literal meaning of this particular verse. We were seeing in the last session, where we ended the last session, that now in this verse onwards, Bhagwan is talking about a different level which we can see in a man of realization. What? A man of realizations actually control over his senses, which we call in Sanskrit as Sanyam, his control over his senses. What control he exercised over the senses, that's what Bhagwan is trying to bring out from this particular verse. And if you really look at Arjun's question also, the last portions of Arjun's question in the verse 54 was, Kim Vrajeta, Vrajeta Kim. How does this man of realization or the man of steady wisdom or the man of firm abidance move around or lead his life in this creation, in this world, while living here, till the time his body is there, till the time he's living in this body, till the time he has got prarabdha attached to this body, till that time, after gaining the knowledge, how does a man of realization move around in the creation, move around in the world, or, move through the different experiences and situations of the world? How does he live actually? How does he walk about in this whole creation? That's what the last portion of Arjun's question in verse number 54 was. Now, I was trying to bring it to you in the last session that, now Bhagwan is trying to expound upon the type of or the level of control exercised by a man of wisdom over his senses. And to explain that, Bhagwan brought out the example or the simile of a tortoise. And I also touched base one more thing in the last session briefly. I'm trying to elaborate it more now. In the ancient Hindu temples, in the ancient Sanatan Dharma temples, at the entrance of the temple or right outside the sanctum sanctorium or garbhagraha of the temple, the idol of a tortoise is established. It's established there, firmly placed there, and the reason why it is that, because of two manifold reasons why it is done in the Sanatan Dharma culture. Actually, first thing is that you would all know, most of you who would know this through our scriptures, who have heard Bhagavad, who have heard other Puranas and other Sanatan Dharma scriptures, would know about incarnations of Bhagwan. Incarnations of Bhagwan means the times when and supreme consciousness has incarnated on this creation for different things. And remember, Bhagwan is going to himself say in Bhagavad Gita that he's already said that in Bhagavad Gita that as and when and the dharma goes down, on he will manifest again and again to re-establish dharma. Why? Because dharma Bhagwan has created as the axis of this creation. On the basis of that is the axis on which the whole creation runs about. And remember, I already expounded in my podcast, in the previous podcast which have already been done, and that dharma doesn't really translate into religion at all. All dharma means that which is dharayati ti dharma, that which is actually the in literal translation you can translate dharma as duty also, but that which is established in this creation to run this creation, the law of creation, is called dharma here. So religion, it's very poorly translated dharma as religion. Religion actually means community, a sect of people who follow a particular community line, who follow a particular teaching. That becomes a community of people who follow something. So you have so many communities to talk about, or you already know all those things. So in Sanatan Dharma, amongst the incarnations of Bhagwan which has happened in this creation, one of the incarnation of Bhagwan is in the form of Kachap or Kurma. We call it Kurma avatar. Bhagwan has taken an incarnation in the form of a tortoise. And the story in the Purana around that event when Bhagwan had to take that incarnation is, there was a time when, and this creation needed certain jewels and ornaments or certain things for actually the mankind. To do that, what Bhagwan did, Bhagwan recommended the deities and demons, both of them, Devtas and Asur both, that you all must go, since this is creation is becoming scarce of that, you should go and do churning of the Sumeru mountain, Sumeru Parvat, and you should do, actually it is called the churning of Milky Ocean. But for churning of Milky Ocean, how you do that? You have to churn a mountain, and then from that the ornaments and the jewels and the precious things of this creation will arise. So Bhagwan told both deities and demons that you should go and do the churning of the ocean, and the rope which was used to churn the ocean was actually the snake called Vasuki. Vasuki was the rope, and churning was to be done in the Milky Ocean of what? Of the Sumeru mountain. So rope was circled around the mountain, and deities stood on one side and demons stood on the other side. They were asked to churn the mountain. But the problem which happened is, every time they both used to churn, the mountain used to slip away from the whole rope, or the whole snake which was used as a rope over there. So the problem which happened was, both the sides who were churning, they became tired and they became demotivated. So Bhagwan said, it's not going to get churned like that. So what Bhagwan did, Bhagwan means Bhagwan Narayana, Bhagwan Vishnu, what he did, he took the incarnation of the form of a tortoise, and in that form he came came in the ocean, and he took the mountain on his back. And since the mountain came on his back, it became a firm base for the mountain to hold. And with that firm base and the mountain holding steady there, both deities and demons could churn that at Sumeru mountain in the Milky Ocean. And then the story goes that the first thing which came out was poison, and then so many ornaments came, so many things came from that, and at the end came the nectar. And the story many of you already know. Those of you who don't know, listen to Bhagavad and you will come to know, or I'll take it up some other time. So then that entire story goes like that. So that's the first reason why a kurma or a kachap or a tortoise is placed at the entrance of our temple, or right outside the Garbhagriha, which is the sanctum sanctorium of the temple, so that before we enter the temple or before we pray to the Bhagwan or Lord seated in the Garbhagriha, in the sanctum sanctorium, we will first respect the tortoise, or prostrate unto the tortoise and then go inside. That's the first way of Puranic way of saying it. That's the first reason why tortoise is kept there. So by prostrating unto the tortoise, actually we are prostrating, or we are worshipping the incarnation of Bhagwan in the form of tortoise. Okay, that's the first thing. But there is a spiritual side to it also. That also we must know. Remember, the entire churning of Milky Ocean, or the Samudra Manthan we call it in our Puranas, the churning of Meru Parvat in the Milky Ocean has got lots and lots of spiritual significance and meaning. And it's a full, discussion altogether. It needs a full lecture to explain, though, so I'm not touching it right now because that's not my topic here. So the first reason why prostrate unto the tortoise is we are actually prostrating unto the incarnation of Bhagwan Narayana in the form of the tortoise, his incarnation in that form. The second and the spiritual meaning of that, the spiritual side of this whole part of respecting the tortoise is, tortoise represents control or self-control. So we call in Sanskrit Sanyam. So tortoise actually represents Sanyam, the control. And when we prostrate unto the tortoise, we are actually offering our respect to this attribute or quality called self-control. Okay, that's the one of the reason. So once we respect the self-control, why it is placed on the the entrance of the temple, to remind us that if we have self-control and then after gaining the self-control we enter the temple, trust me, the grace and blessings of that divine consciousness, the supreme God, what we are going to gain is going to be far more than normal level. So it is to remind us what the importance of self-control, that is the spiritual side of it. Now, why it is said like that, the moment we respect control, the moment we respect something, the moment we start to offer our respect towards something, or we look up to something, trust me, the biggest portion is that thing which we respect or which we look up to, that quality starts to arise in us. That quality starts to manifest in us. The quality starts to actually find place in our personality. That is the reason why we actually respect like that. And the thing which we respect, slowly, gradually, that thing starts to come or manifest in our life. When we start to respect this self-control, when we start to look up to that self-control, the biggest thing which happens in us is, within us, what transformation happens? The respect towards this quality of self. When we prostrate into the tortoise, or when we respect the tortoise, what arises in us? Respect towards the quality of self-control starts to happen in us, starts to arise in us. And if that person and actually is not able to exercise self-control even after respecting or giving respect to the tortoise and its attribute for a period of time, if that person is not able to exercise self-control, trust me, something inside him starts to, what you call that, call him, make a wake-up call to him, that no, this is not something which you should do. You must look up to you that way. This is something which you must imbibe. It starts to stop person from crossing his own boundaries of Maryada, boundaries of the how we should behave in the society, how we should act in the society. Those behavioral boundaries, actually, if the moment one crosses it or is about to cross it or like that, when such an event happens, this respectful thing which he has gained respect towards, the self-control starts to stop him, starts to make a clarion call to him that, remember, this is not right. You did it, but it's not right at all. It will start, what you call that, waking him up from that fact that, overlooking it is not something nice at all. It is going to inform this person that this time in your behavior you actually crossed that boundary of self control. You actually lost self control, you crossed over it. And this repentance, when it starts to happen in us, this repentance, when it starts to come, that, oh, I missed that boundary, I crossed over it, I did not do it right. When one starts to gain consciousness around this thing, and this repentance starts to happen in that person, trust me, that itself becomes a protective shield for that person, which we call kavach, an armor for that person, and during his behavior, during his act in the outside world, it becomes like a armor or a kind of a protective shield which that person has, as whenever he transacts in the world. There's one beautiful statement one saint has said once, and that if that which is supposed to happen, or we are supposed to do, those things which we are supposed to do, we don't do it sometimes, and at that time, if we are disturbed that I did not do what was supposed to be done, that's one part. And if something which we are not supposed to do and we end up doing it, and we get repentance that I don't know why I did it, trust me, that means that your values in life have started to become in the correct direction. Your values in life have started to rectify themselves. You have started to build positive values in life, which I translated in my own podcast as, you have started working towards your vertical growth. That is what imbibing values is about. Why are you imbibing, why are you generating, or why are you working towards having right values in life? Because right values lead your life to the right direction. And once you lead to the right direction, whatever you achieve in life will also be right. So that's the reason why it is important to imbibe positive values in life. So this saint said it so beautifully. Once we start having repentance, or we start to feel bad about something which we were supposed to do and have not done it, or which we were not supposed to do, something which we were not supposed to do, and we end up doing it, and if we have repentance towards it, that means slowly, gradually, your values in life have started to correct itself. And this is called an internal measurement of all of us in terms of our values of life. Remember, everyone have values in life. That is besides the point. How many of us have right values in life? Many people, they have bad values also, and they consider those values. It's up to them altogether. I don't want to say that at all. But trust me, the thing is, the internal measurement of us is when we start to respect the right values in life, and when we start to see that the positive values have started to come into play in my act in life. That is my internal measurement, that my values of life have started to correct itself, and I'm on the correct course of action. And the thing is, now let me take the other side of the same example of the what is given by the saint. In case is, when we not do something which we are supposed to do, and we do not get at worried about it, or we do not get at aversion towards it, we do not get disturbed about it, that means, remember, we are not in the right direction at all. Just remember that. That is what the saint mentioned so beautifully. And if both these in both these situations, if that come in our life, one has this kind of a reaction towards it, that he feels disturbed about it, he feels sad about it, he has repentance for it, then there are two things which happen in that person's life. Why I said positive values have started to play in his life, that if this person, and for that thing which he's supposed to do, and he's not able to do it, or he could not do it, or he did not do it, and he feel repentance about it, then, and please understand for sure that in future this person is definitely going to fulfill his duties. He's definitely going to ensure that his duties are fulfilled correctly. He's definitely going to work towards fulfilling all his duties. And those things which he is not supposed to do and end up doing it, that means one day this person will surely come to a point when his wrong habits or wrong kind of culture acquired by him will slowly, gradually, he will give up. Those habits will be given up by him one day for sure. But the thing is if in case in the values of life, if we don't focus on that, then these things don't happen with us. That's one thing which we need to understand pretty clearly. And in case the values of life which we have acquired in our life, if after having whatever values we have in life, if we are not disturbed by these kind of situations, then trust me, please remember, for such a person, and disturbance not happening is that right values are not there in life. Right values are not there means, the other way to see it is that these kind of disturbing things won't happen when he doesn't end up doing duty also, and or when he does end up doing something wrong also. If these disturbing situations don't arise in him, these disturbing thoughts don't arise in him, that means as a result, even the improvement in his life also is not going to happen. That one thing which we need to understand pretty clearly. So by prostrating in unto this form of tortoise, which is established at the entrance of the temple, actually a person is giving his respect or offering his respect to the quality of self control. And through that respect which this person gives, slowly, gradually, the values of life which is there in his life will also start to correct for this particular person. So tortoise is actually representing self control. Because tortoise is representing self control, for this verse here, Bhagwan has also taken up the simile of a tortoise. And the other part which I also briefly touched base in the last session is, the other fact about tortoise is, tortoise moves around on two different planes. Tortoise can live in water also, tortoise can move around on the earth also, on the land also. So it is something which walks on two planes. There are three planes for us to move around, which is Jal, and then and what you call, Thal, Jal, and Akash or Vayu, which we call it. Okay, so these three planes we walk around. Akash is where we say space or air we call about. That's why aeroplane we call it. Airplane we call it. So amongst those three planes which are there for us to move around in this creation, and this tortoise moves around on two planes together at the same time, means he is capable of living in the water and moving around in the water comfortably, not with difficulty. It's not that for him water is more easier than land. No, nothing of that sort. He is able to easily manage himself on both these planes, which is water also and which is land also. So the thing is, the beauty of the tortoise is, even though it lives in water, primarily it lives in water is the primary space for the tortoise, but to lay egg it comes on the land. Just think of it. It lays egg on the land. It has got legs to move around, and the way his whole structure is, the tortoise can go to the depth of waters also and can move around anywhere on earth also. And why this simile is given? A realized master, a man of realization, also moves around in two planes. Remember Arjun's question, last portion. Vrajeta, how does he move around? Since move around was the question, how does he move around? Bhagwan took up the simile of a tortoise which moves around on two planes. And this man of realization also moves around on two planes. What are the two planes this man of realization moves around? Man of realization moves around in the creation also, and in the world also, and moves around at the level of supreme consciousness also, the level of self also. So two planes there, a man of realization or a saint of realization also moves around, and the tortoise also. That's why Bhagwan picked up the simile of tortoise. I told you the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagwan Krishna is really Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Imagine in the middle of a war field, when two sides army is standing and they have already announced the war, and here Bhagwan, whose chariot Bhagwan is leading and whose charioteer Bhagwan has become, when that at Rathi becomes, in a state of delusion, in a state of depression, in the middle of the war field, when the war has already been announced, just think of the way Bhagwan is giving examples. You see, he's picked up example exactly according to the context. So, one may think very lightly that, Bhagwan may have given an example of tortoise to just show, about the senses only, but that's not what it is. In every aspect, Bhagwan wanted to show that what tortoise does, it moves around on two planes. It has got complete, self-control, and that self-control has got another aspect for the tortoise, which I just mentioned when I was explaining you the literal meaning of the verse. The withdrawal of limbs of a tortoise is not something which is very much effortful. It's something instinctive. The moment it senses danger around, it senses something around where it could have a potential danger, the first thing which the tortoise does is it retracts all its limbs into the shield which it has got. And the shield is a unbreakable kind of a shield, huh? And the limbs which it retracts is what? Four legs and the head. And head means eyes, ears, and everything together. The entire head it retracts back, and it remains in the shell till the time it has not sensed that the danger has gone. In the same way, the man of realization also walks on two different planes. It freely roams around in the plane of supreme consciousness, and that is what is called samadhi avastha, we call it, for a man of realization. In samadhi, many times it is explained, even when dhyana yoga, the chapter number 6 will come, I will also expound at that time. Samadhi is of many types itself. So, a man of realization or a jivan mukta purusha, when he goes into a samadhi, the samadhi, there are many types of samadhi, as I mentioned. One type of samadhi is that somebody has to wake him up also to come back into the body for protection of the body and all. There are sometimes Mahatmas, they wake up after many days, they come back into the body after many days also. So all kind of samadhis are there. I'm not out bringing that attention right now here, but the thing is, the moment a tortoise senses that something wrong is going to happen, or it senses some kind of a danger, it instinctively, the moment it hears a small kind of a disturbance outside also, it instinctively retracts its limbs along with head into the shell, and then it becomes strong because the shell is strong, and it becomes, when it retracts, the shell becomes what? As an entity, it becomes a strong thing to bear anything from outside, bear any danger. Its shell is so strong that any danger it can bear. That's what it is meant by actually, going inside. The way it retracts its limbs, in the same way, when a man of realization comes back from samadhi or wakes up from samadhi, so to say, this is the level of control exercised by this man of realization. He roams around freely in the self, in the supreme consciousness, because that is its actual place of moving around. That is his actual place of comfortably moving around. The way tortoise move around comfortably in water, can go to as much depth as possible. In the same way, a man of realization in samadhi goes into the depth of what is called supreme consciousness, as much depth as possible, because that is his actual plane of living. World is only a temporary place for him. Like the tortoise comes, lays eggs, sits on it, and goes back into the water, comes only for some time, because that's a temporary plane for him. The moment a man of realization becomes a man of realization, his actual plane shifts to the supreme consciousness. That's what Puja Gurudev in one of his statements said: wake up to that state of consciousness. After waking up to that state of consciousness, you will understand that this whole world is nothing but a dream. Never mind, we'll come that and we'll share that some other time also. So for this man of realization, his actual place of reveling, his actual place where he roams around, actual plane where this man of realization spends most of the time, is actually the supreme consciousness. But he also roams around in the world, because till the time he has got this body, he has to do it. He roams around in the world, or he transacts in the world, or he acts in the world for what? He comes into the world to give teachings also. He comes into the world for, discussion about the Vedanta and the subjects of self also. He comes into the world to transact in the world for maintaining his body also. He definitely, and for doing that, he may have to go from places to places also. That's quite possible. He may have to go from one place to another also. And many a times it is seen in that, for some saints, some man of realization, the field of his action in the world also is very big. Like I'm giving you an example. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji, he, you know, even though he did not create the ashram himself, his devotees created for him, but he accepted it. Just see the span of Chinmay mission also, it's worldwide, where all Puja Gurudev had went during his lifetime for teaching Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad and things. There were many sessions where the place which were hired for Gurudev's talk used to be swollen up so much that the people could not fit into that place also. How many cities in India itself Gurudev has gone and given and talks? How many places in the, how many cities or how many countries in the world Puja Gurudev has gone and given and his own talks on Vedanta and thing. Just imagine when Swami Vivekananda went all the way to US to give his talk on Vedanta in the World Conference of Religion. Puja Guruji Swami Subodhananji also, how many places he has traveled for giving Vedantic talks. See, for some saints, the span of activity, the field of action is also quite big in the world also. Even though their actual plane is the supreme consciousness, but we see that depending from the saint to saint and according to the, according to the grace and blessing of Bhagwan, I will not use the word according to the responsibility given, because that sounds very small. Or Bhagwan don't give responsibility to them. Actually, Bhagwan acts through such saints, such man of realization, to benefit people in this world. So their body is actually, their life is actually taken over by Bhagwan for giving his blessings to the people around in the world, so that the mankind can be blessed. That's why I said, such man of realization is a big blessing on this whole creation. There is no bigger blessing than that. And that is one of the reasons why Guru are also called Nitya Avatar of Bhagwan. They are the, time and on the incarnation of Bhagwan, what happens is in the form of Guru also. That's also one of the things which is said in our scripture. So we see that sometime his span of action, his field of action is also quite, big. And that's why Bhagwan has placed this in comparison directly with the saint. The saint has been compared with the simile of tortoise. And as I mentioned, Arjun's question was also that, how does this man of realization and walk around in the world? How does he spend his time in the world when he's back in the world? And for answering that question also of that, how does a man and walk about, Bhagwan is trying to give this indication to Arjun that, remember, this man of realization till the time he's living in this body will surely walk around in this creation. But his walk around in this creation will be very different from our walk around. Sometimes the thing which happens with us is that, sometimes I'm just saying that, if you really look at us also, we'll see many a times, we feel that something is not right, but we are not able to stop us from doing it. That is the state of us. And here, man of realization, by the sense of it, something not right, right, or something not suitable to his construct now, his choice in life now, he doesn't waste time in retracting his senses away from such situations. But remember, it's not that he runs away from there. Huh? Run away is different from retracting your senses. A man of realization, and I told in one of the podcast also, and this is sheer God's grace that He has made me see such thing. I have seen some saints sitting down and meditating in a crowded bus stand also, amidst that whole rush, that whole noise around. This man of this saint is perfectly in unison with God, absolutely quiet, absolutely at peace. The outside disturbances, outside noise, and outside rush doesn't even touch this saint a wee bit also. I've seen such thing. There are saints, who in the right at the bank of gushing Mother Ganges, there are saints who sit down and meditate. And if we go to Mother Ganges, we can, hear the gushing sound of the river. But imagine a saint who's in perfect unison with the self, in perfectly in meditation, and even sitting in front of the Ganges, in the gushing, waves of Ganges also, he's able to meditate. Why? Because he is able to see the self in everything. He is able to see the self in the gushing sound of Ganges also. He is able to see the self at play in the rush and noise of a bus stand also. See, that's the beauty of a man of realization. His vision is completely different. So the moment and a man of realization senses that something in which is not right, or which is not according to my choice in life, which is not according to things which are good for me in life, is going to happen, and or something which are not according to the path I've chosen in my life is going to happen. At that moment itself, this man of realization retracts all his senses, or stops all his senses from gaining any experience in the world. Or I would use this word, gaining, or he stops his senses from gaining any perception, even though they may be open for gaining in the perception. He completely he stops. And what is the word Bhagwan used? Kurmo Anganiva Sarvashah, from all sides. It's not that, the one thing also we need to understand from the simile is, tortoise is not this way, that if he, senses some danger coming from the left side, he only retracts the left limbs and leaves the right limb outside. Doesn't do that at all. The moment he listens, or he senses some danger from any side, he retracts all its limbs. It retracts all its limbs in one go. It doesn't waste its time to judge, okay, let me think which side it is coming from, let me just retract that only, then let me think, did I understand it correctly? It doesn't waste time on such things at all. That situation is called, this saint man of realization makes his senses uparam. It completely blocks his senses from that. And that is what are the kind of stopping his senses from gushing out happens, stopping his senses of perception to gush out. And he does it from sarvasha, or from all the four sides. It retracts all its senses the way a tortoise retracts from all its limbs from all other sides, so to say. The reason Bhagwan, and one more reason why Bhagwan gave the example of tortoise is, why tortoise is able to retract its senses is, the moment it senses its limbs, the moment it senses danger outside. Why a tortoise is actually able to retract its limbs when it senses danger outside? Because it is also very sensitive towards the external stimuli of the world. It can sense a danger very fast. That similarity is there in a man of realization also, because a man of realization's intellect has become very subtle and can grasp subtle aspects of this creation also. That sensitivity is there, is developed in a man of realization also. A man of realization is able to sense the danger, sense the adversity, sense the wrong kind of situations much faster than us, able to realize it very fast. That's why Bhagwan said, since there is a complete similarity to tortoise, that is one of the reasons why Bhagwan used the word in the verse, Kurma Iva, just like a tortoise, just as a tortoise, like a tortoise, just as a tortoise, this man of realization is able to instinctively withdraw all his senses the moment even a wee bit adversity, wee bit danger, or wee bit opposite kind of a situation comes, which is not according to his goal in life, which is not according to his choice in life, if happens, and he doesn't have to struggle to retract his senses. It is something which is natural, normal, and automatic and instinctive. This instinctiveness and this effortless as retraction, and which happens in the man of realization, to bring out that Bhagwan has actually compared the movement of a man of realization in the world with the movement of a tortoise in this creation. The moment, and it even senses a wee bit of danger in the creation, in the world, on the land or anywhere, the tortoise goes back into its shield. Remember, that also we need to remember. It goes back into its own shield in the same way, and the shield is very strong, so to represent. What Bhagwan is trying to say about the tortoise comparison here is, this man of realization also winds up his senses into his shield of supreme consciousness. And trust me, there is nothing in this creation which is more stronger than the supreme consciousness. To just imagine, if the shield of a tortoise is strong, then how strong will be the shield of a man of realization, which is the supreme consciousness, which is the Atman, the self alone. Remember from that verse, from the 55th verse itself, Atmani eva Atmana tusta. You should not forget that line at all. When this kind of a instinctive retraction, instinctive control, this kind of an automatic natural control all comes in life of someone, that is when he is called tasya prajna pratisthita. You can call that such a person has got wisdom which is firm, has got a knowledge of the self which is firm, has got an abidance in the self which is firm. To show this is comparison between these two things, and also to show that both of them, even though one is in the animal world, both of them moves around in two different planes at the same time in the same life, and it is instinctive, it is automatic, it is something which is not had to be struggled for, that control. That is why, hey, Bhagwan has brought this simile together in such a way. And that is the kind of self-control which is exercised by, which is seen in a man of realization. That is the level of self-control which Bhagwan wants to show, what a man of realization in the external world you can see in that man. So the thing is, since all these verses are actually for us seekers, what is the message for the seekers in this verse? Bhagwan's message to the seekers is, a seeker also has to move about in two different planes. Till the time life is there, have to move in the worldly plane also. And when we start our spiritual journey, our worldly plane is also many times seem as strong as our spiritual plane. And I can actually say it this way. Actually, when we start our spiritual journey, our worldly plane is more stronger than our spiritual plane. We are like, those tortoise which stays most of the time on the land, and very few time on my actual plane, which is the water. So for when a spiritual journey starts for a seeker also spends most of the time in the world, because all the efforts that seeker is putting into to gain spiritual knowledge, gain spiritual abidance, gain spiritual conviction, everything happens at the level of land only, the level of world only. So all those are effortful things. Efforts are also being put in that direction. But one thing definitely this man of this seeker is trying to do is, definitely for all these things to happen, he has to make a choice well first. He has to choose that self first. So Bhagwan is trying to bring in for us a message for the seekers, that a seeker also has to practice walking on both planes initially. A seeker has to spend some time spending with the self also, spend some time in meditation on the self also, japa of the self also, or understanding the self also, gaining knowledge the self also, and at the same time has also got the responsibility or the role to move around in the world as well. And when he or she transacts in the world, that time the seeker has to exercise a lot of caution. That is what Bhagwan is wanting to bring out from here, that this seeker must try to learn things from the tortoise as such. The seeker must practice this thing to gain some subtlety, to sense danger. There are many things I can bring out, but then I will go into a different direction also. I will try to bring out some examples from the creation, but I'll limit myself so that I'm able to cover the verses as well. I'm not giving too much examples, too many examples, not too much, not too many examples also, because it takes time and I want to spend some time on explaining the verses as well. So slowly, gradually, as and more context comes, I'll bring out the example. There are many examples which we can see in the creation also. The one thing which we all must understand as a seeker is, a seeker has to develop two things in life. That is a must for a seeker. And Puja Gurudev used to put it very beautifully. For a seeker, the one teaching is, be alert and vigilant always. Always is the word. Because there are umpteen examples in our Puranas as well, and Puranas bring out things in the form of a story to give us teachings actually. The stories are for us to understand. There are umpteen examples given in our scriptures, in our Puranas, where even a person who is so good in the practice of spirituality has slipped because of not being alert and not being vigilant. For a seeker, the first quality we must develop is be alert and vigilant of you and your surrounding. You don't know, and many times people come to me that somebody is pushing me to do this thing, somebody is pushing me to do that thing. I ask them very simple question: what forces you to not leave them? If somebody is pushing you down, it is high time for you to decide to leave them. Move on. You cannot stay at a place which consistently pulls you down. If you have a choice, you must exercise it. If there are situations where we do not have a choice also, then take it as a prarabdha, but develop your alertness and vigilance so that you reduce the impact on you. So that is one thing which we have to learn as a seeker. So Bhagwan says, this seeker also roams around in this world. So he must develop this ability to be alert and vigilant and about himself and his surroundings. Things, and able to work towards exercising control. Initially, it's not that at the start itself a seeker will be able to retract all his senses. It won't come initially. And the next verse is Bhagwan is also trying to explain in an aspect of that also. I'll bring it up in that. I'm coming to the next verse also. I'll explain you there. So it is not easy for a seeker also to immediately just I know I have to retract senses, I'll do it from tomorrow. No, it's not going to happen. We have to practice these things. Alertness and vigilance is also something which has to be practiced, and a seeker must exercise that thing. That a seeker must be alert and vigilant about what a seeker must be sensitive about both the things means must be sensitive about what are the things which are to be done by him and what are the things which need to be avoided by him. First he has to know, no? He first need to gather the knowledge what is to be done and what is to be avoided. That knowledge he has to gather first. So for a seeker must have alertness and vigilance towards what must be able to assess which are the things which are beneficial for his journey, his spiritual journey, which are the things which are going to benefit his spiritual goal, benefit his journey towards the spiritual goal, and which are the factors which are going to be obstructions for his spiritual goal, obstructions for his spiritual path. A seeker must know them first. There is one more aspect we should know, that sometimes it is seen that some seekers are able to know that these things are not good for me, or these things are good for me, but the seeker does not have capability to actually be away from those things which are unfavorable, those things which are obstructing factors, and not enough capability to walk towards those things which are favorable for that person. Sometimes is not able to escape from those things at all. The primary reason is that doesn't have enough capability to handle them. Sometimes you see some seekers are able to understand also, and there are sometimes some seekers are told by other people also that these things are not right for you, but still we see that the seeker is not able to move away or give up those things. If that is the case, then this seeker is not going to become, is not going to adapt any kind of control what a tortoise is able to. It won't be able to become like a tortoise. And if one wants to make his wisdom about his knowledge about the self firm, that at that time, then if that is the case, that is the goal of a person, that he wants to make his abidance in the self firm, his knowledge of the self firm, then one thing we must know, then self control is something which we will have to practice, we will have to learn. Otherwise there are a lot of difficulties which are going to arise in the path of such a seeker, and there is a very high probability that the seeker may get lost in this journey of life. And then once the seeker gets lost in the journey of life, his priorities may change, or I would say that priorities will change for sure, and he will be completely derailed from the path which he has chosen and for or himself. So this thing we must understand about self control, that this is a promise which Bhagwan is asking from all of us, that self control is something which we must practice, and the level of self control we must aim to achieve is that the self control should become automatic, or should become instinctive, like a tortoise. How the tortoise winds up its limbs instinctively, in the same way a seeker must also reach a level that he winds up instinctively his senses the moment, and there are some things which are not right for his direction starts to manifest outside, or he sends something like that outside. Right? In the next verse, Bhagwan is going to pick up this topic in further detail, that why some people are not able to exercise as self control also, and even those who exercise self control also, what are the different levels we can see. Bhagwan say in the next verse that, many a times it is seen that a man practices self-control and is able to give up objects and things also to an extent, and because it is important for that man, but there are some things which he is not able to give up, which is what Bhagwan expounds in the next verse, which is verse number 59. I'll read this verse also and give you literal meaning, and then I'll club both these verses together also, and we'll take more detail after that. So verse number 59, Bhagwan says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. We'll see the literal meaning of this verse first. Bhagavan in this verse number 59 says, the objects of the senses turn away from the abstinent man, leaving the longing behind, but his longing also leaves him upon seeing the Supreme. That's the literal meaning of this verse. I picked it up purposively so that whatever I'm able to explain, you are able to understand the context of this verse. So Bhagavan says, when a person tries to exercise self-control and reaches a level that he is able to give up the external objects, external situations and external things, he's able to give up. He's reached a level of self-control that he's able to give up that thing. And this is something which is now what Bhagavan is trying to do is he's talking about the cosmic law, or how the nature works. He's able to give up, the moment he's able to give up that thing, the cosmic law, the nature is that once anyone gives up something for a period of time out of self-control, those objects, those situations and those people also leave him. Vishaya vinivartante, visheshena nivartante, niraharasya dehina, that dehina, that person and that man of realization, the man who is practicing the self-control, so to say, the one who is dehina means the one who is residing in this body, he becomes nirahara. I'm going to come, there is a very much deep meaning of the word nirahara also, but I'm trying to explain you the literal meaning first so that you're able to understand the context of this meaning. The cosmic law, or the law of nature here is, the moment one develops this ability, develops this self-control to give up something, and is able to practice that giving up attitude, is able to give up that thing for a certain period of time, the cosmic law, or the law of nature is that object, that situation or that person, towards him this person has practiced giving up, that thing also leaves him. Okay, this is what is called why I use the word, it's the cosmic laws, the law of nature. We call it in Sanskrit, this is a naisargik niyam. It's a law, cosmic law and the law of nature. Even though, now what the reason why Bhagavan has brought it up is that even though we see that a man is able to achieve such a state of giving up object, and as a result of that, as a result of practicing it for a period of time, that object, that situation, that person also is able to come to a level to leave this man who's practicing this. But there is one thing which doesn't leave this man practicing it, and that is what Bhagavan is beautifully bringing out here. I'm telling you, oh my God, I do not know what to say. Trust me, I'm telling you, in the arena of this life, I don't think there is anything which Gita ji has not touched, or Bhagavan has not touched through Gita ji. Every aspect of this human life, from what kind of thought, what kind of emotion, the resultant reaction, I don't know in the war field how much depth Bhagavan has brought out. So beautifully he said this. Even though the law of nature, or the cosmic law, the naisargik niyam is that that once a person practices giving up something, and I said, the moment I say something, please include all the three things together: object also, situation also, people also. So when I say something, understand that when a person practices giving up something for a certain period of time, according to the law of nature or the cosmic law, that something also leaves this person. That is what happens. But this person who has practiced giving up that thing, there is one thing corresponding to these objects, these situations, and these people, or these things, these some things which I spoke about. There is something which doesn't leave this man even after giving up, or even after those objects also leaving him, and that is what is called rasam. Rasam means, now don't go to that South Indian rasam I'm talking about here. Huh? Rasam means taste, actually. In Sanskrit means taste. So they have given that thing as rasam in south of India, and it is served in many South Indian joints if you go also. But here actually rasam stands for taste. And remember, and when I say taste, Bhagwan is not talking about the taste which is, which happens or which is experienced with our tongue. No, that alone is not the taste only. Huh? When we say use the word rasam, when we use the word taste, Bhagwan is actually referring to the taste which is experienced by all our senses of organs of perception. The taste which is experienced by eyes is in the form of beauty, or beautiful things. The taste which is experienced by our ears is actually what is good kind of sound where we have interest towards. The taste is, for the skin is actually good kind of touch we have, like we touch flower, soft things or something like that. So those kind of for, of course, for jihwa the taste is definitely there, and for nose the good kind of a taste is what? Fragrance, right? So when he uses the word taste, he's talking about all the five senses here. So what happens, even though this man of this seeker has practiced giving up things, and eventually due to his effortful will work towards giving up those things which he has given up, those things have also left him. But alas, there is something of those things which has not left him, and that is what is called a taste. Bhagavan says, Rasavarjan, the taste of the things. How does the taste translate into, by the way? The taste translates into good fragrance gives happiness to our mind. Good forms or beautiful things give happiness to our mind through our eyes. Good sound gives happiness to mind through our ears. Good taste, good food gives happiness to our mind through tongue, through taste. In the same way, ultimately, when Bhagwan uses the word taste, please understand the point which Bhagwan wants to make is the enjoyership has not gone. The enjoyership has not gone, and the enjoyership means the taste or the memory of enjoyments which have been gained from these things have not gone at all. That is what Bhagwan meant by the word rasam here. In his intellect, there is a thing which is there, and kind of an knowledge impression which is there, that these things have given me happiness. These things have been source of happiness. Remember, if they have been source of happiness, that means they can still be source of my happiness. That is what is called rasam. The taste of happiness experienced from them has not gone. The knowledge of taste gained from these things have not gone. Now remember, when we exercise self-control, one stage of self-control is this also. This stage also comes when we start to exercise self-control. The completeness of our effort towards self-control, the completeness or the ultimate gain of self-control is when the objects have been given up by me, and the objects have also given me up, and along with that, the taste which resided in my intellect of me deriving happiness from them, or they being source of happiness, has also been erased from my intellect. That is the completeness of self-control. That is when we can say that our self-control is complete. Remember why Bhagwan brought this up? Because remember the level which Bhagwan wants us to go. Bhagwan wants us that it should be instinctive. If the taste, the knowledge of taste or the memory of taste is there, then remember our self-control will not be instinctive. It will be effortful, and sometimes we may succeed, sometimes we may fail also. And there are times when we succeed also for a longer period of time also. If somebody, he definitely does it and practice it for a long period of time. From an external perspective, when somebody gives up objects and the objects give them up, we feel that that person is where, what a control that person has got. That is what it is seen outside. But remember, in his intellect, still the taste in the form of a friend is sitting there, and the friend is continuously inviting this friend. It's inviting you. Your friend is continuously inviting you. Come over. Let's have a party. Let's have a drink together. Let's enjoy together. This friend is consistently calling you because he's sitting at your home. Before even you have reached your home, he's already sitting there, and he's staying with you most of the time. He's roaming around with you most of the time. So he has got the power to convince you also. He has the power to actually turn you around also. He has the power to actually change you also. So when will this friend go? When will this friend leave our intellectual space? And how we are able to give up this kind of a knowledge or taste which is sitting in our intellect? To explain that, Bhagwan is explaining in this verse that give up happens only when we are able to see. He's used the word what? Param drishtva. When we are able to gain the vision of the Supreme Consciousness. When we are able to gain the vision of the ultimate. When we have known the ultimate source of happiness, when we have known the ultimate source of bliss, when we have understood or touched the ultimate source of happiness or bliss, then remember, all these small sources of happiness lose their importance, lose their charm, lose their attraction for us. Remember, even though that is the level of ultimate control, but even this control, that you are even if the taste is there right now, but even if you are able to exercise this control to give up the object, trust me, it's a very, very big effort. It's a very big sadhana in itself. That's why, remember, why Bhagwan has brought it up. Many people give up self-control and say that, what use it is. I still keep getting attracted to the self-control. One example popularly I'll give you, which is very, very grossly used by people, and that is of fasting, which we do. And I've said this in one of my podcasts before also, and I've quoted this verse only at that time. Many people say, Swamiji, what is the use of fasting? The day I fast, the whole day I'm thinking of food. Because my mind is always in the food, so I decided from next time it's useless, I will not fast. You are a fool if you think like that. Pujya Guruji Swami Subodhananji used to say it very beautifully. If while fasting your mind consistently thinks of food, and still you are able to stop yourself from even eating or touching the food, trust me, that is a very beautiful control. So Bhagwan is bringing out this beauty for us to understand that the taste goes only after we see the reality. Till the time we see that reality, the taste resides in us and it continuously keeps, pestering us by calling us again and again. But our control is complete when in spite of or instead of it calling us, we don't go there. Like I gave you the example of fasting here. Even if you fast and you consistently think of food, I'm telling you, that is one of the best fasting. If you, after consistently thinking of the food, still could manage this way for yourself, that you did not eat it till the time you broke the fast, you have actually done the correct fasting. Now just think on the other side. Puja Guruji Swami Subhadanand used to say it also beautifully. If you have kept fast and the thought of food never came into your mind, then how effective your fast has been. Of course, the fast may give its result, but the actual effectiveness of fast is, along with the fast, I gained some, grace and blessings of Bhagwan by doing the fast also. And along with that, I also could practice or exercise some amount of self-control on myself. That is the actual fast, no? That is the real beauty of a fast. That is what Bhagwan wants to bring out from this particular verse. So understand one thing very well. Even if the fast is not, or while during the fast you consistently think of the food, but you have exercised so much control not to touch it, trust me, your fast is really successful. You have done it. We will congratulate you for such a fast. So Bhagwan is giving a comforting statement for us seekers through this verse, that if while exercising self-control, you experience that the taste is residing inside you, you do not have to worry about it. Be at it, be consistent at it. One day you will surely reach the level when the taste will also be given up inside your intellect. Now I'll bring up those people who discourage, who are actually not worthy to be listened to also, who are not worthy to be, listened to in terms of advice. Never take advice from such people at all. And there are reasons of actually, stupidity which they are coming and talking from. There are people who will come and say that, I exercise this kind of self-control, but this taste never leaves me. So what is the use of such thing? So such people say such things because they don't want to do anything. They don't want to do anything towards it. They don't want to do themselves also, and they don't want others also to do. They discourage others also to do. They want to create obstacle for others sadhana, others efforts also. They don't want others also to do such sadhana. They themselves also don't want to do it. They don't want others also to do it, so that they have a group of people who are like them. Without making much of thing, they can give an excuse. He is also not doing it, so why should I do it? That's why we should escape from such people, because they are only trying to make us deluded. They are only trying to confuse us through all these things. And a seeker, once he has become seeker, I keep telling one thing very clearly, especially in my group, a WhatsApp group also, the people who are following me also, I give this message very clearly. When you become a seeker, please understand, stop listening to everyone. Then for advice, you should only go to your guru or your God, either one of them. Okay, don't listen to everyone, because everyone is not at that level to advise you. Everyone we cannot. And in matters which are spiritual and all, not all our friends are also, even though they may be practicing spirituality, they are not capable to advise us yet, right? So you must fall back upon a guru to seek advice in such a case, because his advice is what is going to be genuine. Don't listen to such people who are trying to confuse you, who are not doing anything for themselves also. They don't want anyone else also to achieve their level. And for in such people's words, never fall into that trap also. Even if we are able to reach a level where we have to exercise control of giving up at the level of things or objects or situations or people, it is a big win for us as a seeker. Bhagwan is actually trying to praise such a seeker, that this seeker at least has been able to reach a level to give up the object. The only lacking in his achievement is that the taste has not gone yet, right? But that is not a big lacking at all. It's not a big lacking. Bhagwan says is Bhagwan himself gives the route that how to eradicate that lacking, how to eradicate that lacuna in our self-control mastery. That Bhagwan says the route is param drishtva. The moment you know the ultimate, the moment you start having a vision of the ultimate, the moment you are able to experience the ultimate even for a fraction of a moment, then trust me, then you will not find taste in any other tasty things, so to say, which are residing in your intellect. And just think that you are not able to exercise control at all. That Bhagwan explains in the verse number 60, that Bhagwan brings out that also, if you are not able to exercise control, well, then what are the kind of dangers which happen? Bhagwan says the one who is not does not practice self control, his house is robbed. Bhagwan is giving there. Bhagwan says what? Indriyani pramathini haranti prasavam manaha. These senses of ours, they actually churn your entire personality and make you lose your consciousness in completion, and robs you of your intellectual understanding, robs you of your wisdom. And you may know that you have been robbed, but you have reached a level where you won't be able to do anything about it. Your wisdom is slowly, gradually awakening, and you are knowing that you are these things are not right, but your senses have hijacked, have actually taken into custody your intellect, have hijacked your intellect in such a way that you are not able to progress any further on the spiritual path. That's why lack of self control is not a small thing at all. That is what Bhagwan wants to gives as a message to us from these two verses. This much we will see today. Rest we will see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।